Another day, another opportunity to grab life by the balls. This is my first video. Welcome to the show. This is your host, Nick. Today's topic, boosting testosterone. The idea, doing it without exogenous hormones, through lifestyle and supplements, and the like. All my claims, the citations for them can be found in the video description, but I'll try to give the gist of the studies that I'm referring to. This is a high-level overview. I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty too much, except where it's actually useful to the audience. So, what is testosterone? It's the primary male hormone, which mediates the effects which we associate with being masculine. So, how you look, how you act. And how does it work? So it works through so-called androgen receptors, which are expressed on top of most cells in your body, in the human body. So these are proteins which are kind of in between the cell and your bloodstream, which carry forth messages from different hormones and chemical signalers to the inside of the cell. And how do androgens work? Well, there's two primary pathways there. The first one's the so-called anabolic system, which is related to tissue growth, so for example, muscle growth or bone remodeling. And this is mediated through a metabolite of testosterone, namely estrogens, in addition to testosterone itself. So your body actually converts testosterone through a process called aromatization into estradiol. This happens in fat cells. And a lot of these estrogens have, anabolic positive effects within the body, in addition to their wider known feminizing effects. The second pathway is called androgenic. So this is related to male secondary sex characteristics. So, for example, beard growth, deepening of the voice, aggression, ambition, but also more precarious effects like potential balding if you're genetically predisposed to that. So those are the two primary means by which androgens affect the body. And I'm going to overview how those processes work in detail. But the gist of this is that one of those or more of those effects is appealing to you and you're more interested in learning how to modulate that, having control over it. And that's what I'm setting out to do here, provide a guide of how you can, first of all, understand what's going on, but second of all, how you can make changes to optimize it. And therefore, in this introductory video, I'm going to be mainly overviewing how the hormone system works, what are the primary entry points to modifying it, and then the later videos of the series, which I anticipate will have about 7-8 videos, depending on how this goes, will go into detail on those specific pathways. So, why not just use steroids? Well, in addition to legal implications, the actual administration being quite potentially painful, annoying to do, being dependent on one exogenous hormone for the rest of your life, I also think it's a very inefficient approach. You're going to get a lot of side effects, acne, estrogen fluctuations, shrinking testicles, such things. So I feel like if you understand this system in a nuanced fashion, you can get away with a less blunt approach of approaching your hormonal system from various angles. And yeah, obviously it's also not going to be illegal, which is quite important to some people, especially with people with respectable careers who can't really risk doing the wrong things. So yeah, let's get to it. I'll briefly explain an overview of how the actual hormonal system works on a top-down level. The key points here are that there's a continual communication between the brain and the testicles. And so the brain has an area called the hypothalamus, which releases a hormone called gonadotropin releasing hormone. This travels to the anterior pituitary, where it thence releases another hormone called luteinizing hormone. And this is the hormone that travels from the brain to the testicles. And within the testicles, you have some cells called Leydig cells. So these are the cells responsible for producing testosterone. And these respond to the LH, the luteinizing hormone, and produce the testosterone. So when this luteinizing hormone arrives there, the Leydig cells start converting byproducts of cholesterol into testosterone, which is released into the bloodstream. From there on out, the testosterone is going to have one of several fates. It can either be directly captured by a substance called sex hormone binding globulin. So this is a substance that renders sex hormones inactive within the body, and it's a way your body regulates them. The second pathway is that it can be turned into an estrogen through a process called aromatization. And this occurs mainly due to activity in fat cells, which have a enzyme called aromatase. And this is also one of the primary means whereby your body provides like a negative feedback for producing too much testosterone. So this estrogen will travel back into the brain to the hypothalamus, where it will signal that a certain amount of testosterone has been produced. And depending on these estrogen levels, your brain will kind of stop sending the signal to your testicles to produce the testosterone. And another means by which this testosterone can be processed is then through another enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. This is the enzyme that turns testosterone into dihydrotestosterone. This is the more potent androgen, which is tied to balding in predisposed individuals because it sort of is 5 times more potent at binding to the androgen receptor. It's therefore way more potent at mediating androgenic effects. And it's also then metabolized slightly differently because DHT can't be metabolized into an estrogen directly anymore. And some of the testosterone, which is free, so it's not bound to sex hormone binding globulin, it's not being further metabolized. It will lodge to these androgen receptors along with the DHT, and this signals to the cell that it should start kind of operating in a masculinized way. So for muscle, that might mean building up more muscle fibers. In the brain, it might signal kind of taking on a more masculine temperament, and so forth. So that's the overview of the high-level dynamics going on there. In further videos, as you can suspect, a lot of these interactions are going to be the entry points for modifying things in your favor, optimizing your hormones. But for now, I think that's been a lot of information to take in. I hope this video has been clear, informative, that you've gotten something out of it. And the production quality will obviously increase as I get to grips with all this. But yeah, for now, I hope you have a great day. I hope you crush it. Tune in for the next video. Hope you enjoy this.